Hi, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about how to maximize the earnings for your app. Alright, so I'm back in the office today, right? It was yesterday I spent like the entire day traveling for just a few hours of meetings, and it was kind of nice. It's nice to get out of the office once in a while, but it's also nice just to be back in the office. I mean, it's nice to be in the office when you don't have a boss, I should say. You know, when you have a boss, it's a completely different thing. You know, you feel like you're looking over your shoulder all the time, but it's nice when you just have a place, just sit and, you know, just get on with what you're doing. So today what I want to do is answer a couple of questions that have come in over the last few days. The first one comes from Abby Dabby. By the way, when I answer questions, it's always my opinion, so it's not, you know, fact. I mean, it's based on experience. So just let me just put that out there, right? I could say something, it doesn't mean it's 100% right, but it's 100% right as far as I'm concerned. So the first one comes from Abby Dabby. It says, make a video about how to maximize. By the way, I love it when you just tell me what to do, right? Don't ask, just tell me. I respect that. So make a video about how to maximize earnings from app. I have an app with lots of downloads, but revenue is very low. Now this is a good problem to have, right? One of the reasons why I always focus on downloads, and we talk about downloads so often, is because that's like the first hurdle you need to get over. And people have asked me about it, saying, yeah, it's all well and good to have lots of downloads, but you know, what does that mean in terms of the bottom line and in terms of revenue? And you know, they could be linked or not be linked, but I always think about it like, if you have like a restaurant and it was like unpopular and nobody walked in the doors, you don't sit there and say, I don't understand why nobody's ordering the fish, right? Your problem is getting people in. So if you have an app where people are downloading it and they're using it, but you're not making the revenue yet, then that's a really good problem to have. You're getting the traffic, which is what you need, right? So now you have to think about, to switch analogies from restaurants to shops, you have to think about how you're going to put things in the app to get people to download them. And this is a lot of trial and error, a lot of analytics, a lot of testing things. So, you know, just like if I walk into a shop and I walk back out again because I can't find what I'm looking for or nothing looks appealing, that's kind of the shop owner's thing. So yeah, the shop owner needs to think about how to display things, how to put things in the right lighting or the right, you know, display, what goes on the end, all that kind of stuff. And that's due to a lot of trial and error, which is the way that I think about it. That's if you're going for the in-app purchase route in terms of monetizing, which I'm going more and more in that way because it's just been mostly advertising so far. Right, so you know, start doing that. Think about, you know, your users, how they come in, and try to change different things on the buttons. You know, you might have a button in like a settings in the menu, like this is what I did, right? On my EarSpy one, I had the menu. To make the purchases, you have to go to the menu and then say add features, and then it gives you the things you could buy, which was like, you know, people may or may not even see that. So I moved that add features as a button right there on the front page, and then, you know, the purchases just went up about 3 times, I guess. So it's about a 300% increase on sales. So which is good. I mean, when I say 300%, it's not, you know, it's not world shattering because it went from making like 10 pounds a day to, you know, 30 pounds a day for one of those in-app purchases. But that's still really good, right? So there's lots of things you could do there when you look at your app and in terms of in-app purchase. And also think about ads. I mean, are you showing enough ads, right? And I know when I bring this up, people say, well, you know, I don't want to irritate my users, and I hear this all the time, right? And in fact, one of my favorite bad reviews on the apps is this, you know, I like this app, it's really good, but it has too many ads, right? And the reason that's my favorite review is because that's the exact same critique I have of like watching Walking Dead or Homeland. You know, watching anything on television is like, I like it, but I hate the ad breaks, right? But that's why it's free. That's why we don't have to pay for it. If I wanted to go buy the box set, I would pay that little bit extra. I would do that in-app purchase, if you will. So, you know, people are always going to complain about the ads, and you have that fine balance. You don't want to show so many ads that they don't use the app anymore, but you don't want to show none because then you're not able to monetize it. So at the end of the day, you need to be able to support your app. So, you know, people coming in, and a lot of things, you know, one thing I haven't tried yet, and I know it's been around for a while, is native ads. And people have said, native ads are a game changer and all that kind of stuff. I just haven't really used it yet, but that's another thing to look at. So you got the in-app purchases and you got advertisements, or buy the pro version and all that kind of stuff. But it's a really good problem to have. Getting the downloads is the first problem, and when you get people coming in, then you need to think about showing the advertisements, and not just advertisements, maybe rewarded videos or something like that, which have a higher eCPM, but you still need like a lot of ads in order to make a decent revenue off of that. So that was the first question. I hope that helps. If you have any other follow-up questions, let me know. The other question I wanted to answer, which was, I wasn't just going to do this one because it's a bit self-indulgent. Abdulaziz Kayumov said, "Hi Eric, what does the Overpass logo mean? There are 2 lines. It's something like a water pipe. You should make a video about how to design app logos." Right? I'm not the best with logos. Now that Overpass logo up there, I know you guys give me such a hard time about it, but it's an overpass. So it's like I'm gonna put up a picture of an overpass, but it's like you're standing underneath it and it goes up over you like this. This was back in like 2003, and I'd read something that you don't want to use too many colors for the printer and stuff like that, which is probably not relevant today. But I know, a lot of people don't realize that's what it is, but that's what it is. Even my kids, after like years, they said, "Oh, I didn't know that was actually supposed to be a bridge." That's what it is, right? And the whole name Overpass, I mentioned this yesterday, where, when I found the name Overpass, I was trying to think of different names, and I was typing in bridge and all this kind of stuff, and I went into like word thesaurus, and I just was typing in bridge and satellite and all these different things that symbolize outsourcing, whatever, because that's what I wanted to do. And then Overpass came up, and I thought, ooh, that sounds like a good name. And and I looked at Companies House to see if it was registered. I looked at the domain name, and I couldn't believe that nobody in the UK had registered that company name. And I thought, this is fantastic. What are the odds, right? And then years later, I figured, I found out that in England they don't actually use the word overpass. They call it a flyover, which is kind of strange because all over the rest of the world they use the term overpass, at least in English-speaking countries. And but not in the UK. It's called a flyover. So I've been like in meetings with people like company owners, and they'll be like, "So Eric, I thought what we could do is our 2 companies, our company and Overdrive, can work together." And I said, "It's Overpass." It's, what? It's Overpass. It's not Overdrive. Oh, okay. Or they'll call it Overpath, like PATH, and it's something that really confuses people. So that I don't get that they don't get the logo, but a lot of people don't like the logo, and I've been told several times that it needs to be redesigned, and I just think, dude, I like it. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it until it's, until it becomes a problem. So anyway, that's it for today. I will talk to you guys tomorrow.